Welcome to the agenda with me, Lasha Kingsley in Douala, Cameroon. On today's edition of the program, we are talking innovation, sustainability, and business productivity with a coach, and of course, he is a consultant and social innovator, business and productivity speaker, trainer, and consultant with over 11 years 11 years of experience in 15 African countries, moving around talking to business executives. Dr. Javnyuy Joybert talks to the agenda. Stay with us. I'll be right back after this. Dr. Javnyuy Joybert, thank you so much for honoring our invitation to be part of this edition of the agenda.
Thank you so much, and it's so good to finally be here to talk on the agenda.
It's a pleasure having you, Doctor. And you move around, you talk for a living, let me put it that way. And you have been talking for over 11 years, moving around the African continent, talking to business executives. And how has the experience been, talking to people in a kind of business ecosystem that is regarded as difficult and strange?
Yeah, we are in a strange dispensation across the African continent. When you look at the last 10 years, you look at where we are right now, and with the coming of COVID-19 that nobody really anticipated, and looking at the various researches done by the World Bank, African Development Bank, about where Africa will be in the next 10 years by 2030. It is really a very interesting time to talk about business. And of course, young people have been rising tremendously to take advantage of the business ecosystem. If you look at the most valuable companies right now in Africa, they are being run by young people that started a few years back using technology. So it's a lot of things are happening, a lot of elements are happening, and it's very interesting to watch how it has evolved in the last couple of years.
And you're equally a very young man. At your age, you started doing this for over 11 years now. Let's talk about, you've been quoted by many as saying that most businesses in Africa don't valorize data, and for this reason, growth and sustainability as well as continuity still a major problem within the business ecosystem in Africa. Mm-hmm. Why is that?
Many people still run businesses in Africa from the place of emotions, from the place of assumptions, and from the place of just general observation. But we are now in a dispensation whereby data is like a demigod. For you to be able to run a business that will go places, you need to understand how to use data, acquire data, analyze data, and use that data to make important decisions. And that's why we get to say that data is a new oil. And if you look at the companies right now across the globe and even Africa that are tremendously growing at a certain level, they have understood the power of leveraging on data and managing data.
So how indispensable, how important is data to a company? Because most of the companies, like you rightly put it, don't even have archives. They don't keep tracks of their business records. And so it becomes very difficult sometimes when the founder of a company dies, the company dies as well. That is
very, very popular across Africa. I did my research in a master's level on succession planning in family businesses in Africa, and that was a very big challenge, because you get to notice that when a founder dies, the company dies 2 weeks after or 2 months after the founder. It's not because the business is not a good idea. It is because, as you rightly said, data, policies, systems, all of these things that make up a sustainable business, the founder did not put it in place. Let me bring it down to the buy and sell them. Right? I was talking to one mama. We run a business that we talk a lot to buy and sell them. And I was like, Mama, your oldest child, does she know where you buy things? If you are sick right now and you need her to go buy things from your supplier, can she go buy it in your absence? Those little things. But what if she has a system, she has a book whereby she writes the name of the supplier, location, and contact. And if she's owing her or the supplier is owing her, she writes the balance there. That's a simple system that can enable her to transfer the buy and sell and business to the daughter. So the ability to know how to develop policies and systems and maintain data, it is so critical. That is what makes companies in Europe and America. It's not as if these guys have two heads. It's not as if they have something different that got released upon them to do business better than us. The difference is that these people have mastered the art of systems, policies, and data, and it is very powerful. That's why I keep saying that in Cameroon, it takes more than money and a good idea to run a business. It takes administration, it takes management, it takes leadership, it takes system development and implementation to run a business.
We are at within the context of the Youth Day, National Youth Day in Cameroon, and most often our young people in the country, they keep complaining that the terrain is so difficult. It's not because of the things that you are saying. What do you have to tell young people in Cameroon today when it comes to startups? Because we are focusing mostly on startups, as I earlier mentioned in my introduction.
Yeah. You know, let me start by saying that there's no perfect country. Because sometimes when we sit, we feel as if the grass is greener on the other side. And I have had the privilege to do work in other African countries and be in the US for some time and be in Europe for some time to do work. When you also go there, they have their own issues. Because sometimes people get to paint other countries as if they are so amazing and they have no issues. It's also they are so good at branding their countries on the outside better than what we do. Yeah. And their citizens get to defend their countries. And I'm not saying that Cameroon is perfect. We are not. We have lapses in governance. We have lapses in business laws. Like, for example, in Cameroon, we don't have a business policy that protects startups. Immediately you register a company, you need to start paying taxes. Which is, they should create something, a policy that can protect startups, because at the startup level,
so many policies have been created at the level of Ministry of Youth Affairs. But sometimes these youths, they complain of lack of financing, and when some of them who succeed to get the financing from the banks, they disappear with the money. They don't invest the money, making trust to be, lost.
It's a two-sided market. Not only, I've seen the government create programs and give money to young people to start poultry farms and do stuff, and they take and they disappear too. And they'll sit and blame the government also. So as I said, it is the problem from the young people have issues that they need to sort out, and the government has issues they need to sort out. So we need to do carry out our responsibility so that we meet on the same playing level. Because if young people keep blaming the government, meanwhile honesty is a problem, or they keep blaming the government, meanwhile they don't have the right skills to get the job done, there is a very big problem in that particular area. And if the government is expecting more from young people without making sure that policies are in place, and as you said, there are sometimes good policies, but we have a problem with a lot of civil servants. And I think that's where the government is lacking in terms of having strong system to hold civil servants accountable, to be able to discharge these particular policies. Sometimes you go to a government office and you're doing something, you are the one inside telling, this is a policy that's already in law. And they say, no, we have not received it. And sometimes they cover it up because they are expecting bribes and for you to please them before they get to do that up. And I think that's a very important missing piece in many African countries, including Cameroon, where there should be a system that holds civil servants accountable in the work that they do.
Okay, and there's this fierce competition. That's one of the reasons why most startups don't see the light of day. As a business coach and an award-winning young entrepreneur, what are some of your secrets you may want to share with our viewers?
If I tell you, there's no longer a secret.
Of course, let's put it. It's a secret, but when you tell us, it will no longer be a secret.
You know,
but
it's
interesting. Our viewers, they get to know how you've been able to strive in this very difficult and strange, business ecosystem.
Business people always face competition, because as you see opportunities, others will see opportunities also. And as startups, we need to be very good at identifying gaps. One of the best ways that startups can be able to dominate in the market is for them to identify gaps and begin to fill those gaps. Because many a times as a startup, you don't have a lot of money like other companies. You don't have a lot of staff, a lot of assets like other companies. One of the best ways that you can be able to compete with them is to find the gaps they are not able to fill in. One good thing about startups is that they speed. If I want to do something in my company right now, I don't need to consult several departments or several board of directors and all of that. I get it done immediately. That's the benefit of small business and startups.
Yeah.
And if we can, and imagine a very big company like a parastatal or a company that has 2,000 employees, they will need to follow like a 3-month procedures before they finally implement a new product, or even just to change a product color from blue to black. They will need to have board meetings and all of these things. But we can decide and do that overnight. And startups can capitalize on speed, efficiency, and their ability to use technology better than older companies and be able to win in the market. And one thing is to have a dominant mindset. Don't just be afraid. Don't just get in and you're like, oh, these guys are bigger than us. Be a dominant mindset and believe that you can produce a better product.
You earlier mentioned money or finance. Is it enough? Is money enough to guarantee sustainability of a business?
No. Money is important in business, but it's not the most critical factor. There are people who have money but don't know what to do with it. There are people that have. I worked with a client before he came to me. He had 80 million francs as investments, but when he met me, he had just about 12 million francs. But he had no ready product that he could put in the market. So money is important, but it is just one of the elements that makes a complete business model. So many people get to say, oh, there's no money and all of that, and some people say, I have an idea, I don't have money. Those are just some popular excuses that we get to give ourselves. I like to say that you don't need money to start a business.
But there are some people, I'm not saying that you're one of those kind of coaches that tells you, you know, I started my business with a grain of granite and whatever. So we will talk about money. So
yeah,
but we are not talking about such.
Yeah. As I was saying, you don't need money to start a business. You need money to grow a business.
But
because
not those
sometimes
kind of ideas, and you know, I'm talking about a grain of
yeah.
Well, you know, money is also very important.
Yes, there are people who have started small and have grown incredible businesses. And if somebody says that, I wanted to advise you, ask them the exact process they went through. If you say you use 1 grain to do whatever, tell me the process, because business is about process. If there is no process, trust me, there is no business. Either you're hiding something or you're doing something illegal and trying to use an ethical way to explain how you're making money.
Okay. I also know that you are currently doing a 15-day morning school program, yeah, which starts from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. prompt. What is the motive behind this morning? It's like, you know,
yes,
you get up and you feed people, yeah, with information in the morning. What,
yes,
what motivated you?
I created this platform called the Peak Performance Academy. Is to teach people the art of peak performance, the art of being a high achiever. And there are certain ways of living, there are certain patterns of living that until you master them, you may not be able to become a peak performer, high achiever. And one of those is to teach people how to conquer their comfort zones. And that is why with my mentees and some clients that I do business with, I get to organize training sessions and coaching sessions at odd hours, like from 4 a.m., 3 a.m., sometimes 12 a.m., to teach you how to beat your sleep. Control your sleep. Sleep should not control you. Yeah. Because you cannot be a high achiever and you sleep a lot, you sleep maybe 10 hours, 9 hours, and so on. But meanwhile, high achievers who have produced incredible results are not sleeping that much. Number 2, it's not just about your sleep, it's about teaching you how to control short-term enjoyment. Like you can be able to, if you can control your sleep and focus on your career and your business, you can be able to control your, maybe how you love to drink alcohol and focus on important things, just to teaching you those important habits that can help you kill some distractions and focus on important tasks in your career and business.
So that's what you do exactly?
Yes, that's what we do. And then we get to teach some particular principles of success that people get to take and they apply in their businesses, and sometimes bring in reports on how they applied in their businesses and the feedback from the businesses.
You're equally an author of at least 5 books in the market. I want us to focus on this one. This book where you talk about, the title is From Average to Unforgettable.
Yeah.
That one caught my attention. Can you throw more light on some of the chapters of the book?
Yeah. Let me first of all give the background of why that book, From Average to Unforgettable. I wish there was I wanted to use a more meaner word, but
Yes.
I didn't want to, because in primary school I was consistently last in class.
This is interesting. How is that possible?
Very possible. And in secondary school, in the Cameroon system, before you pass the examination and go to the next level, you must have 10 average and above.
Yeah.
I have never had 10 average. I was always promoted on trial.
This is interesting.
Now, in the work that I do, I am one of the best in the continent. I have been paid as one of the best, and I've been invited to place as one of the best. So I have become unforgettable to many companies, to many clients. Even I've worked with governments to advise them on education, skills, and how to structure business ecosystems and policies. So what happened? How did it happen? That is why the book. That's why the book talks about from average to unforgettable.
Yeah.
There are certain things that I did within a period of about 10 years that changed the course of my life and made me a better person. And just to add, I am not from a very good family, as we may say. I'm one of what we call wedlock kids. So I don't know my dad per se. So my mom could barely see me off through school, and I sponsored myself from bachelor's degree level to my doctorate degree level because my mom could not see me off through university. So with all of these things, in my little short life, I've been able to experience some things that even me, I never thought I would ever experience. So what can young people do in a country like Cameroon? And I did not school out of the country. I did all my education here. So what can young people do that they can control? We get to blame the government and blame our parents and blame things, but there are certain patterns of life that you can control at your level that can change the course of your life. That's why I always say, fix yourself first before you blame somebody else. And I believe that when you fix yourself, fix your daily habits and patterns and certain things in your mindset, some things start fixing themselves in your favor. That's why the book is From Average to Unforgettable.
So those are some of the highlights, or the
yes,
of
the key
the
things
book.
in the book. Yes.
Yeah, the book is also available.
Yes, the book is available online on Amazon. You can just go From Average to Unforgettable. You can buy anywhere in the world on Amazon, or you can just go to my website. You can get it there on seller.com, and you can get a hard copy in any event I'm speaking in.
Doctor, the most difficult challenge coaches face is change stereotypes, stereotypes.
Yeah.
And so how do you enable the 21st century youths in Cameroon using your success story, like what you were just narrating?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's very difficult to change mindset. Sometimes you tell them, they say, oh, this guy is just telling us stories, and he made his money through the other way and he wants to come deceive us, tell us stories.
Absolutely.
How have you been able to succeed in changing these kind of stereotypes?
It is, I think one of the best ways that gets to work is getting closer to the people. And that's why I believe in creating communities. I have a lot of online communities for different reasons that bring young people closer to me. And when you're closer to me, you get to see maybe how I live life. You get to see how I do things. You get to see that there's nothing maybe I'm faking that is not real. You get a point. And that way it makes it easy for young people to feel that they can be part of the success story. And sometimes one thing I get to teach them is that there's a place of time and process. There's no overnight success. It takes time, it takes hard work, it takes sleepless nights. It's going to cost you something. So, like for example, last year, a few years, I did something where I selected a couple of my mentees, and I said, if you have been in business for 2 years and you have never made your first 1 million francs, I want to work with you. I selected 6.
Yeah.
And in that 1 year period, I was teaching them something. I was coaching them about hard work, coaching them about strategy, coaching them about understanding the business laws and tax laws and finance laws, just to learn certain things. Many a times we blame a lot of failure stuff around us. Meanwhile, we have not taken time to pay attention to details that are important, that we can use them for our advantage and advance the cause for our lives.
And most of these things are put in books.
Yes, they are put. I write a lot. I write every morning.
Don't read.
Yes.
Most of them don't read, especially young people.
Yeah, young people don't read, and people who are tired of their lives, people who feel that, I think that my way is no longer working. they start looking for solutions to their problems or solutions to their ineffectiveness, and they start reading, they start asking questions, and you get to see that there's that change. Okay, like for example, this 4 a.m. morning class that I do, and sometimes there are 100 people in class, Cameroonians. You see, so there's a reawakening that people are looking for, to see that, I think I need to seek a better way of getting things done, and so that I can have something better for my life. And as I would like to say, nobody's coming to help you, and we need to realize that. Everybody has their own problem.
Yeah.
Nobody's coming to help you. Not even your uncle. He has his own family and his own stuff.
Take care of.
And take care of, and you're waiting for help. You need to take absolute responsibility for your life. And when they realize that particular mindset, it helps a lot. And also, like programs like this help to reawaken people, to teach them some basic things about life that can enable them to become better in what they do.
Okay, Doctor, archives and documentation of works by CEO and NGO is equally another issue that you have been hammering on in Cameroon, and it is still a very, a big problem in Cameroon. Why is it so difficult for NGOs and the CEOs to document, works that they do? I read some of your write-ups where you talked about people not, owning websites or having social media, accounts that where they can, showcase their works for international community to see, for them to have opponents.
Yeah, it is. You may call it it is the issue of ignorance, lack of skills, and lack of understanding about certain things that are important in their lives. And sometimes somebody can have an idea in their house and then leave the house and go straight to implementation without really learning the basics that are critical. So people base a lot on talent, ideas, talent, and implementation. But there are administrative stuffs, there are managerial skills, there are essential skills that you need to master in the process. And that's why we need to keep learning to understand what are those various tools that we need to practice in order to do the right things. And we need to do that also for the future generation, because many of us are struggling because there's no blueprint. The people who get to make it don't have a blueprint.
Let's take, for example, like some of these big
people,
names that
we know around. The Kajis
and the rest.
The
they don't have any archives
photo.
That we can tap
You cannot go search about them and read, oh, this is how he made his money, this is the process, this is the lessons in his journey. But you can read that. You can read how Bill Gates started. You can read how
that comes back
started.
to the data you were talking about.
The data I was talking about. So sometimes we need to document this, and also people get to feel as if when they document and share their success stories, people are going to call them that they're proud and all of that. Don't think about that. I share a lot of my story and lessons because I know that people are reading and it's causing impact. That's the only reason I get to share. And I encourage any other person, if you have been able to succeed in something, this generation, our generation, is a disruptive generation. There are a lot of things that our parents got it wrong.
Yeah.
And we are the ones to correct it. And in this generation, we are bridging the gap. Our parents did not experience social media. We did. Our parents, we experienced the part of sending letters by writing, and then we have experienced the part of sitting here and sending somebody a message in the United States in 4 seconds. So there are a lot of things that if we don't document that transition, those lessons, the impact, and a lot of these things, the next people coming after us, they will not understand certain things and what they can learn from us. And
the documentation too is very important. The kind of information we put up. There's another write-up you put on today. I think it was at 4 a.m. that you put it out there, and you were hammering so hard on the young people in Cameroon who have seen TikTok and other social media platforms as a place to go sell their body or expose their body on such platforms. You were hammering that they should be mindful because in some years to come, the very things they are posting today might, play a lot on who they have become.
Yeah, very true. And there are many things that we did when we were much younger, like in secondary school, that we are not proud of. And sometimes some people are lucky because that time there was no
social media.
It was not that rampant as it is today. But now young people get to be half naked and all of that. And I think it's a problem of self-esteem and many other things, whereby they believe that, it's a generation whereby people love attention right now. They want to get likes and comments. There's a generation whereby people have cars online and don't have cars offline. Generation people have jobs online and don't have jobs offline. A lot of things are happening, so they love that attention. And one of the best ways that, especially for ladies, to get that attention is to be half naked. And as I always say, there is no way you can build an incredible lifestyle that is not ethical, it's not professional. It's always going to end up, like I give a scenario. Yes, you can show off yourself right now because you're young and because you are beautiful. Of course, when you start getting older, the guys who are following you will look for a younger person and forget about you. Now, what happens to you? There's no sustainability. But it's better you build a brand. That's what I keep saying. In branding, there is a superficial brand and there's a sustainable brand.
Yeah.
Many young people are building superficial brands. And 10 years later, that brand will not be able to put them on the right table. Because, as I said, the internet never forgets.
Whether you delete or you
don't delete. That's why there are young women right now, when they immediately announce that they're engaged and about to get married, you're seeing a screenshot of what they did 2 years ago on Instagram.
That's ruined some of them. Seriously.
Good. You see? So because people start bringing those things up based on what they said, what they did, or how they behaved in public, in a drinking parlor somewhere, or in a nightclub somewhere, and it now haunts them. And when you start ascending a superior position in government or in the private sector, some things is going to haunt you. Some things can happen, people can forgive and forget, but the consequences will be there. Okay,
Dr. Javnyuy Joybert, thank you so much for taking our time to be part of this edition of the program. And we're glad you took off time from your busy schedule. It's not been easy having you to be here. You are leaving a conference, you were delivering talks somewhere. You had to, abandon to come and talk to young Cameroonians. It's a pleasure having you, sir.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Hope to see you some other time.
Definitely.